Okay, please welcome to the stage, reading her own verse, Becky Cherriman!
Hello, everybody. Have you been enjoying the sunshine? Yeah. Yesterday, you may have noticed some cameras in the room tonight. And yesterday we were very much enjoying the sunshine because we were filming this poem that I'm about to perform in Flamborough Head, which I've never been to, but it's beautiful out there. It's called Pillion. And then there's a word you may not have come across before, which is orison, which is prayer. It's an old word for prayer. I learned all about adventure from my dad, both the joys and the pitfalls. I cling to his back as he takes me into cold waters. Then he's swimming the others back to shore, and I am alone on the island with the waves over my toes. I wish he could carry all of us, like when he lifts us onto his Yamaha. 1, 2, 3, zoom around the car park, and I thumb the Queen's head in my pocket, press my cheek into his corduroy coat. I think of whiskey on the rocks and the tide coming in. Letters home from those places where the tanks are silent and bombs whisper threats they'll never fulfill over crackling lines. I think of him swallowed up by that place where only men are. The smoky room of lifted fists, loud voices, and more TVs than I've ever seen, if only through a chink in the door. And I wish. But no. He swims into the distance and my island shrinks. And when he finally comes for me, I am standing knee-deep in that ocean, staring out to the horizon of a lighthouse beam. The next poem's called Ditch. You reeled me in on your tongue till heaven stirred in my lap. And there I saw the sea, and you, a fisherman, your back to the storm, my arms around your neck like a child. Let's not ruin this with any more false starts. We have the sunset over Fewston, that shoulder ride around my living room, the twilight picnic in Canal Gardens, Goreshi and all his lovely sorrow. Come on, we have our meander to the house poetry built, where we kissed in thoughts of Lady Lazarus and her sticky pearls. We have lovemaking D.H. Lawrence would have approved of. Let's not ruin this with the things we did not do. That Christmas in St. Petersburg, the ditch you did not carry me over, the stockings I would not wear. My bloody Peter Pan. My almost fisherman. Please. You know that stage in a relationship where you've enjoyed spending time together, and you're still enjoying spending time together, but you're starting to make plans. That stage, building castles. You mapped it all out. Our house in the country. You spidering on the piano. Me nurturing stories till dusk. The water fights in the wildflower garden with our 3 kids. We window shopped for retro wedding outfits we might one day wear. There were Christmas cards to the 2 of us. We even invested in an orthopedic mattress. This is important for the future, you said. I came to see it all as you did, grafted my dreams onto yours. I touched the heads of our children, grubby, tousled, lovely. Heard the rush of air as you pressed those piano keys. Inhaled the mahogany furniture, the Victorian rosebush you said we'd grow. Then, as we curled up on my sofa, you placed your hand on my tummy and rubbed round and round. You could have my baby. Round and round you rubbed before you left me. We've also been filming this poem today. It's called Paisley Quilt. There are worse rapes than this. He didn't threaten my family or beat me with his fists. He simply prized open my thighs, shut his eyes to my tears. There are worse rapes than this. He didn't bind me with gaffer tape or hold a knife to my throat. He simply ignored me when I said no. Every time I said no. There are worse rapes than this. In the comfort of my own bed, under my favourite Paisley quilt, by the man I love. Loved. You're a very polite audience, I have to say. Most female poets seem to have poems about wolves. I have no idea why this is, but I'm no different. She had lived with the wolves till she was 3, they said. To her, time was measured only by the period she was with the wolves and what came after. To them, the wolves were unfathomable beasts because they paid homage to the moon with their song and tore at flesh with their precise teeth. To her, it was them. The men who stared at the flowering teenage girls with a hunt in their eyes, their cold lengths of metal. It was they who were the beasts. So she narrowed her eyes when they spoke to her. And once, when the odoriferous one touched her throat, she turned and made a hole in his cheek with her precise teeth. And she was glad that because she had lived with the wolves, because she spoke few words, and because of her precise teeth, they never stared at her like that. This poem's called Homestead, which makes me think of cowboy ranches, but it's also the farmhouse. And they say, don't they, that working in a tannery is one of the worst jobs you can possibly have. In the dented leather chest she'd taken to boarding school, I found a farm with 10 animals as small as my fingernails. 2 cows, 5 pigs, a horse, and a whitewashed barn with a red roof. I didn't expect the baboon, which must have escaped from a zoo or some other safari set. Its claws were disemboweling a pig, and it was baring its teeth at the horse. I imagined it sneaking up on the cows at night, skinning them while they slept. Like my grandmother's father, who defleshed so many hides, he bequeathed a small fortune, liming the family pockets in cyanide. Not a part of my history I'm particularly proud of. And this last one is Eucharist. In our family, we play a game called Threes, which is very simple, and it just involves saying 3 positive things about the last 24 hours. It's really nice. You can always find 3 things to say that were good, even if it's something you've eaten. I do recommend it. Every morning, the same. Her asking, "Have you had your breakfast? Got your lunch?" But breakfast wasn't the same as zapping zombies or texting Alex back. So invariably, I lied. Often, even with her face pale as broom, her hair shedding like math sheets from an open bag, she'd rise and serve me porridge. A Eucharist of grain and fruit. "Threes," she'd say, the ladle tremoring in her left hand. And we'd speak our trios, holy trinities of how the day before had been, what we'd loved and why. Thank you very much for listening, everyone.